I found my wife's secret phone while installing our baby monitor. The messages I read changed everything. I was installing a baby monitor when I found the phone that destroyed my marriage. It was a Tuesday afternoon in late March, unseasonably warm for Seattle, and I'd taken the day off work to finish setting up the nursery before our son arrived in 7 weeks. My wife Jenny was at work, managing a product launch at the marketing firm where she'd worked for 6 years. I was alone in our new house, assembling furniture and mounting cameras, excited about becoming a father for the first time. By the end of that Tuesday, everything I thought I knew about my wife, my marriage, and my future would be shattered. Hey Reddit, this is the story of how I discovered my pregnant wife's affair with her coworker, learned she didn't know if I was the father, and had to make an impossible decision in the span of 3 hours. I'm Mike, 34 years old, and what I'm about to tell you will make you question whether you can ever truly know the person sleeping next to you. You know that feeling when you find something you weren't looking for and immediately know it's going to change everything. When your brain processes information faster than your heart can accept it, that's where this story goes. But let me start from the beginning, because to understand how completely my world collapsed in a single afternoon, you need to understand what my life looked like before I found that phone. I met Jenny 5 years ago at a friend's wedding. I was 29, working as a software engineer at Amazon, making about $140,000 a year. Jenny was 27, working in marketing at a mid-size agency, making around $75,000. We were seated at the same table during dinner, started talking, and didn't stop for 4 hours. She was smart, funny, ambitious, beautiful. We exchanged numbers, went on our first date 3 days later, and were basically inseparable from that point forward. Jenny had this energy that drew people to her. She was confident without being arrogant, social without being fake, driven without being ruthless. She talked about her career goals with genuine passion, about wanting to make senior director by 35, about building campaigns that actually mattered. I loved her ambition and intelligence. We dated for 2 years before I proposed, took her to the San Juan Islands for a weekend getaway, proposed on a cliff overlooking the ocean at sunset. She said yes immediately, crying happy tears, telling me she couldn't wait to build a life together. We got married when I was 31 and she was 29. Wedding on the beach, about 100 guests, both of us crying during our vows. I promised to support her dreams, to be her partner in everything, to love her unconditionally. She promised the same. At the time, I believed every word. The first 2 years of marriage were good. We both worked hard, traveled when we could, bought a small condo in Capitol Hill, talked about eventually having kids, but weren't in a rush. Jenny was focused on her career, climbing from account manager to senior account manager to associate director. I was proud of her success. Last year, we decided we were ready to start trying for a baby. Jenny was 31, I was 33. Our careers were stable, we had savings. It felt like the right time. She went off birth control in January, and by March, she was pregnant. I'll never forget the moment she told me. I came home from work to find her sitting on the couch, holding a pregnancy test, tears streaming down her face. For a second, I thought something was wrong, but then she smiled. "We're having a baby," she whispered. I felt joy so intense it was almost painful. We held each other and cried and laughed and started making plans immediately. This was everything we'd wanted, a family, a future, the next chapter of our lives together. Looking back now, I see things I missed in that moment. Jenny's smile didn't quite reach her eyes. Her excitement seemed slightly forced. She was quieter than I'd expected, more subdued. But I was so overwhelmed with my own joy that I didn't question it, didn't wonder why she seemed almost anxious rather than purely happy. The pregnancy progressed normally. Morning sickness in the first trimester, energy returning in the second, starting to show by month 5. We found out we were having a boy, picked out names, settled on Lucas Michael, started planning the nursery. In November, 6 months into Jenny's pregnancy, we bought our dream house. 4 bedrooms in Wallingford, big backyard, perfect neighborhood for raising kids. Used our combined savings for the down payment, moved in right after Thanksgiving. The house needed some work, but it was ours. The place where we'd raise our son, where we'd build our family life. Jenny seemed happy about the house, excited even. She picked out paint colors for the nursery, ordered furniture, made Pinterest boards of design ideas. But she was also distant in ways I couldn't quite articulate, less affectionate, less interested in talking about the baby or the future. When I'd try to discuss parenting philosophies or daycare options, she'd seem distracted, giving short answers before changing the subject. "Are you okay?" I'd ask. "You seem stressed." "I'm fine. Just pregnancy hormones and work pressure. The product launch is consuming everything right now." I believed her. Why wouldn't I? Jenny had always been career-focused, and she was 7 months pregnant while managing a major client campaign. Of course she was stressed. I tried to be supportive. taking on more household responsibilities, not pushing when she wanted space, but the distance grew. Intimacy stopped completely, which I understood given the pregnancy, but even non-sexual affection diminished. She'd pull away when I tried to hold her hand, would stay on her phone when we were supposed to be spending time together, started having more late nights at the office and prenatal yoga classes that kept her away from home 3 evenings a week. I told myself it was normal. Pregnancy changes relationships. She was tired, uncomfortable, dealing with hormonal fluctuations. It would get better after the baby came. 3 weeks ago, we'd gone to dinner with some of Jenny's co-workers. She worked with a close-knit team and they'd wanted to celebrate her pregnancy before she went on maternity leave. I met several people I'd heard about but never met, including Derek. "This is Derek, our creative director," Jenny introduced us. "He's been amazing on the campaign." Derek was tall, well-dressed, charismatic. He shook my hand, congratulated me on the baby, made small talk about becoming a father. He seemed friendly and enthusiastic. Jenny had mentioned him before, the gay creative genius on her team who helped her nail client presentations. "I've heard so much about you," I told Derek. "Jenny says you're incredible at what you do. She's too kind. We make a good team, though. She gets the strategy, I bring the vision. Works perfectly." They did seem like good friends, comfortable with each other, easy banter, inside jokes about work situations I didn't understand. It seemed nice that Jenny had such supportive colleagues. I never suspected anything. Why would I? Jenny had told me Derek was gay. He'd mentioned my girlfriend at least twice during dinner, showing us photos of a woman named Claire who was also pregnant, due around the same time as Jenny. We'd even joked about arranging playdates once both babies arrived, 3 weeks ago. Last Tuesday, I took a personal day to work on the nursery. Jenny left for work at 8 a.m. like usual, kissing my cheek, telling me not to overdo it with the heavy lifting. "I'll be fine. Just want to get the monitor system set up and the dresser assembled." "Okay, I'll probably be late. We have a client dinner tonight. Don't wait up." Another late night, but I didn't question it. Just told her to have fun and got to work. The nursery was coming together nicely. We'd painted the walls a soft gray blue, assembled the crib the previous weekend, and I'd spent the morning putting together a changing table. By early afternoon, I was ready to install the baby monitor. We'd bought a nice system. 2 cameras, one for a wide room view and one focused on the crib. The wide view camera needed to go on top of the dresser, positioned to see the whole room. I moved the dresser away from the wall to run the power cable behind it. That's when I saw the phone. It was wedged in the narrow gap between the back of the dresser and the wall, like it had fallen and gotten stuck. A cheap smartphone, basic Android model, not the iPhone Jenny carried. I pulled it out, dusty and scratched. My first thought was that it belonged to the previous homeowners. We'd found random items left behind during the move, an old magazine in a closet, a dustpan in the garage. This was probably just another forgotten object. But the phone wasn't dead. When I pressed the power button, it lit up, battery at 15%, but functional. And it wasn't locked. The home screen showed several app icons, messages, photos, a dating app I didn't recognize, and a single contact listed as D. Curiosity overtook caution. I opened the messages. The most recent message was from yesterday, 11:47 p.m. D. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. I've been thinking about you all day. Jenny, me too. Yoga is at 6. Should be done by 7:30. Same place? D. Perfect. I'll bring wine for me. Sparkling water for you. Jenny, you're sweet. Mike's working on the nursery tomorrow, so he won't suspect anything. My stomach dropped. This wasn't an old phone left by previous owners. This was Jenny's, a secret phone, and she was planning to meet someone who wasn't me. At the same time, she'd told me she had prenatal yoga. My hands started shaking. I scrolled up through the message thread. Days of messages. Weeks. Months. Jenny, I wish I could stay longer, but Mike will notice if I'm too late. D. I know. I hate sharing you with him. Jenny, soon. After the baby comes and things settle, we can figure this out. D. Do you think he suspects? Jenny? No. He's completely clueless. Too focused on being excited about the baby to notice anything. I couldn't breathe. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be real. My pregnant wife, my Jenny, was having an affair? I scrolled further back. The messages got worse. D. I need you. Can you get away this weekend? Jenny. Mike's going to Portland for work. I told him I'd stay home and rest, but I can come to your place Saturday. D. Perfect. Claire will be at her sister's. We'll have the whole day. Claire? Derek's girlfriend? Jenny was meeting Derek at his apartment while his girlfriend was away? But Derek was gay, or I thought he was. Unless Jenny had lied about that too. I opened the Photos app, dreading what I'd find. There were dozens of photos. Jenny and Derek together. At restaurants. At his apartment. In bed together. One photo showed Jenny in Derek's arms, both of them smiling at the camera. Her baby bump was visible. This was taken recently while she was pregnant. The caption she'd added, "Wish we didn't have to hide." Another photo was more explicit. I closed it immediately, feeling sick. I scrolled through the message thread chronologically, piecing together a timeline. The affair had started in April, 1 month after Jenny got pregnant. They'd been seeing each other for 11 months, almost the entire pregnancy. But the messages got even worse. "Jenny, I don't know if I can keep doing this. The lying is exhausting. D, I know, baby, but what choice do we have? You're pregnant. I'm with Claire. We need to be strategic about how we handle this. Jenny, what if the baby is yours? My vision blurred. What if the baby is yours? D, is that possible? Jenny, I don't know. The timing is close. I was with both of you around conception. D, Jesus, Jenny, does Mike know there's a chance? Jenny, of course not. He's so excited to be a dad. It would destroy him. I can't tell him unless we know for sure. D, and if it's mine? Jenny, then we figure it out. But even if it's Mike's, I don't want to stay with him long term. He's boring, Derek. He's safe and reliable and financially secure, but I don't love him the way I love you. I dropped the phone, literally dropped it on the floor, backing away from it like it was radioactive. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be real. Jenny was pregnant with a baby that might not even be mine. She was having an affair with her coworker. She'd called me boring and said she didn't love me. She was planning to leave me eventually, but was staying for now because I was financially secure. I picked up the phone again, hands shaking so badly I could barely hold it. I needed to know everything, every terrible detail. Mike is already planning the college fund and talking about baby number 2. It's sweet, but also kind of sad. He has no idea that I'm planning my exit strategy. D, when? Jenny, after the baby comes. After I get through maternity leave, I'll file for divorce, get child support, and probably spousal support since he makes so much more than me. Then we can actually be together without hiding. D, what about Claire? Jenny, you said you don't love her anymore, that she's just there because she got pregnant and you felt obligated. D, I know, I don't love her, but leaving her while she's pregnant feels cruel. Jenny, but staying with her when you love me isn't cruel. D, you're right, I just need to figure out the timing. Maybe after both babies are born, we can come clean to everyone at once. They were both using their partners. Derek was with Claire out of obligation while planning to leave her. Jenny was with me for financial security while planning to leave me, and neither of us knew. I scrolled to the most recent messages from today. Jenny, Mike's so sweet. He took the day off to work on the nursery. He's so excited about being a dad. D, does that make you feel guilty? Jen, sometimes. But then I remember how bored I am. How much more alive I feel with you. How he's just not the right person for me long term. D, see you tonight, beautiful. Jenny, can't wait. I looked at the clock. 2:47 p.m. Jenny would be home around 6 p.m., then would leave for yoga at 6 p.m. Actually going to meet Derek. I sat down on the floor of the nursery, surrounded by baby furniture I'd been assembling for a son who might not be mine, holding evidence of my wife's betrayal, trying to process the complete destruction of my reality. Everything was a lie. The pregnancy announcement I'd cherished, Jenny had been sleeping with Derek around that same time. The house we'd bought together, she saw it as temporary, something she'd take in a divorce settlement. The future we'd planned, she was planning a completely different future without me. I thought about the past 11 months. Every late night at work, every prenatal yoga class, every time she'd been distant or distracted or on her phone. It had all been the affair. She'd been living a double life while I remained completely oblivious, exactly like she'd told Derek. He's completely clueless. She was right. I had been clueless, trusting her explanations, believing her lies, never suspecting that the woman carrying what I thought was our child was betraying me in the worst way possible. I looked around the nursery, the crib I'd assembled, the changing table I'd put together that morning, the baby monitor I'd been installing when I found the phone, everything ready for a baby that might not even be mine. The crushing weight of that thought made me double over. I might not be Lucas's father, the baby I'd been talking to through Jenny's stomach, the son I'd been imagining teaching to ride a bike and play catch and read bedtime stories to. He might not be mine, or he might be. I didn't know. Jenny didn't know. Only a paternity test would tell us. But even if Lucas was mine, did it matter? Jenny didn't love me. She'd called me boring. She was planning to divorce me after maternity leave, take child support, and be with Derek. I was her safe option, her financial security, her temporary solution until she could transition to the life she actually wanted. I don't know how long I sat there. Could have been minutes or hours. Time had no meaning. My entire reality had collapsed and I was sitting in the rubble, trying to understand how I'd missed all the signs. Eventually, I heard a car door slam. I looked out the window. Jenny's car was in the driveway. She was home early. I looked at the phone in my hand, then at the dresser I'd moved away from the wall. I had maybe 30 seconds before she came upstairs. I had to make a decision. Confront her now? Scream and cry and demand answers? Throw her out of the house? Call Derek and tell him I knew everything? Or stay quiet? Put the phone back where I found it? Pretend I didn't know? Gather more evidence? Consult a lawyer? Plan my response strategically? Every instinct screamed to confront her, to demand the truth, to force her to face what she'd done. But something stopped me. Maybe it was shock. Maybe it was strategy. Maybe it was the knowledge that exploding in rage right now, while emotionally satisfying, wouldn't protect me or give me any advantage. I heard the front door open. Mike, I'm home. 30 seconds to decide the next move in a game I didn't even know I was playing. I shoved the phone back behind the dresser exactly where I'd found it, pushed the dresser back against the wall, stood up, wiped my eyes, took a breath. Up here, I called down, my voice somehow steady despite my hands still shaking. Just finishing the monitor setup. Footsteps on the stairs. Jenny appeared in the doorway, still in her work clothes, smiling at me. How's it going? Getting a lot done? I looked at my wife, at her smile, at her baby bump carrying a child who might not be mine, at this woman who'd spent 11 months lying to my face while planning her exit strategy, and I smiled back. Yeah, making great progress. Nursery's almost done. I stood in that nursery, smiling at my wife, while my mind raced through 1,000 thoughts at once. Jenny had no idea I'd found her secret phone, no idea that I knew about Derek, the affair, her plans to divorce me, the possibility that the baby wasn't mine. She thought she was in control, managing her double life successfully while I remained completely clueless. But I wasn't clueless anymore, and I wasn't going to act on emotion and rage. I was going to be strategic. The nursery looks amazing, Jenny said, walking around the room, running her hand over the crib rail. You did all this today? Most of it. Still need to finish the monitor setup, but the furniture is done. You're incredible. Lucas is lucky to have you as a dad. Lucas, the name we'd chosen together, for a baby that might not be mine. I watched her walk around the room, admiring my work, planning her evening with Derek, completely unaware that her secret was exposed. The audacity of it made my stomach turn. I have yoga tonight she said. That okay? I know you've been home alone all day. Yoga, where she was actually meeting Derek. Of course. You need your exercise. I'll probably just order takeout and watch TV. You're the best. She kissed my cheek. The casual affection felt like a knife. For the next 3 hours until she left for yoga, I played the role of oblivious husband, made small talk about her day at work, asked about the product launch, talked about baby names and nursery decorations, all while my mind was calculating my next moves. When Jenny left at 6 p.m., I immediately went back to the nursery, retrieved the phone from behind the dresser, and I started documenting everything. I took photos of every message, every photo, every piece of evidence, used my own phone to photograph the screen of her secret phone, backing everything up to a secure cloud account she couldn't access. It took 2 hours to document everything, 11 months of messages, hundreds of photos, the entire timeline of the affair. Then I started researching divorce attorneys, but not just any attorneys, specialists in high-conflict divorce and paternity cases. I needed someone who understood that I was potentially facing not just infidelity, but uncertainty about my own child's paternity. I found 3 attorneys with excellent reputations, sent inquiry emails to all 3 explaining my situation in basic terms. Wife having affair, currently pregnant, paternity uncertain, needs strategic advice before confronting. Jenny came home at 9 p.m., hair slightly damp like she'd showered, smelling of unfamiliar soap. She'd cleaned up at Derek's place before coming home. The thought made me nauseous, but I kept my expression neutral. How was yoga? Good. Exhausting, though. I'm going to shower and head to bed. She showered again, washing away any remaining evidence of Derek, then went to bed. I lay next to her, this woman who'd spent the evening with another man, and pretended to sleep while my mind churned through scenarios and strategies. By morning, I had responses from 2 of the 3 attorneys. Both offered same-day consultations. I took a sick day from work and met with the first attorney at 9 a.m. Robert Chen was in his 50s, with the world-weary demeanor of someone who'd seen every variation of marital betrayal. I showed him the photos of Jenny's messages. His expression remained professionally neutral, but I saw his jaw tighten when he read the messages about paternity uncertainty. This is complicated, he said. The affair itself is one thing, the paternity question is another. Washington is a no-fault divorce state, so infidelity won't impact the divorce itself much. But the paternity issue changes everything. What do I do? First, do not sign the birth certificate when the baby is born. In Washington, if you sign the birth certificate, you're accepting legal paternity even if you're not the biological father. That's very difficult to undo later. But if I refuse to sign, Jenny will know I suspect something. That's the calculation you need to make. How long can you maintain this facade? The baby is due in 7 weeks. Can you pretend everything is normal for 7 weeks? Get a paternity test immediately after birth before signing anything? Could I? Could I smile at Jenny every day? Talk about baby preparations? Maintain the lie for 7 more weeks while she maintained hers? I don't know. What if I can't? What if I confront her now? Then you lose the element of control. She'll lawyer up immediately. She'll control the narrative. She might claim you're being paranoid and abusive. The pregnancy gives her significant sympathy in any dispute. My advice? Wait. Document. Prepare. Then act strategically when you have maximum leverage. I met with the second attorney that afternoon, Sarah Winters, late 40s, known for aggressive family law representation. Her advice was similar to Chen's. Do not confront until after the baby is born and you have paternity results. I know that's painful, but it's strategic. If you confront now while she's pregnant, you're the bad guy. If you wait until you have proof of her affair and potentially proof that the baby isn't yours, you're the wronged party. And if the baby is mine, then you fight for primary custody. You document her affair, her plans to use you for financial support, her admitted lack of love for you. Washington courts focus on the child's best interest. A mother who's been conducting an affair throughout her pregnancy and explicitly planning to divorce for financial advantage doesn't look like the most stable parent. I hired Sarah Winters that day, paid her $10,000 retainer, began the official process of preparing for divorce while continuing to live with Jenny and pretend everything was fine. The next 3 weeks were the hardest of my life. Every morning I woke up next to Jenny and pretended to be the excited, expectant father. Every evening I came home and asked about her day while knowing she'd probably spent her lunch break texting Derek. Every yoga night I watched her leave to be with another man while I stayed home preparing for the baby that might not be mine. I documented everything. Every lie about where she was going, every time she came home late with an excuse, every text message on her secret phone, which I checked whenever she was in the shower or asleep. I also started moving money. Nothing illegal or that would hurt our community property division, but I set up a separate bank account and started depositing my paychecks there instead of our joint account, set up automatic payments for my personal expenses, protected my financial position, and I talked to Sarah regularly, refining the strategy. When the baby comes, you'll be at the hospital. You'll be supportive during labor. This isn't about punishing her during a medical event. Afterward, before anyone signs any birth certificates, you request a paternity test. Hospital can do it immediately with a simple cheek swab. Results take a few days. She'll be furious. She'll know I suspect. Yes, but at that point, the pregnancy is over. The sympathy factor decreases significantly, and if she refuses the test, that's extremely suspicious, and we can compel it through court order. What about Derek? Does he know I know? Not unless Jenny tells him, and based on the messages, she's keeping her cards close. She wants to manage both relationships until she's ready to make her move. 18 days after I found the phone, something happened that I didn't anticipate. Something that forced everything into the open much sooner than I'd planned. I was at work when I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Is this Mike? A woman's voice, upset, shaking. Yes. Who is this? This is Claire, Derek's girlfriend. I think we need to talk. My heart stopped. About what? About Derek and your wife. I found messages on Derek's phone. They've been having an affair. I'm pregnant too. Due in 6 weeks. And I just found out my boyfriend has been cheating on me with your wife the entire time. The walls of my office seemed to close in. Claire knew, which meant the secret was about to explode whether I was ready or not. Where are you? I asked. I'm so angry. I want to confront them. Can you meet me? I have proof. You should see it. We met at a coffee shop halfway between our locations. Claire was visibly pregnant, maybe even more, than Jenny, her face red and swollen from crying. She showed me her phone. Derek's messages to Jenny, a mirror of what I'd found on Jenny's secret phone, but from his perspective. I found these 2 days ago, Claire said. I've been trying to figure out what to do, whether to confront him. Then I realized, you probably don't know either, and you deserve to know. I know, I admitted. I found evidence 3 weeks ago. I've been planning how to handle it. Claire's expression hardened. 3 weeks? You've known for 3 weeks and you didn't tell me? I didn't know you existed beyond what Jenny told me. She said Derek was gay. I met him at a work dinner and he mentioned a girlfriend, but I didn't know how to contact you. Derek's not gay. That was another lie. He's been lying to both of us for almost a year. We sat in that coffee shop, 2 betrayed partners, comparing notes. She showed me messages I hadn't seen. I showed her screenshots of Jenny's messages. The full picture emerged. Derek and Jenny had been planning to eventually leave both of us, waiting until after both babies were born to make their move. What are you going to do? I asked Claire. I want to confront them, together, both of them at the same time so they can't lie or spin stories. Will you help me? Every strategic instinct said no, said to stick to the plan, wait until after the baby was born, maintain control. But looking at Claire, pregnant and betrayed just like me, I couldn't say no. Okay, when? Tonight. I know Derek's home. I'm guessing Jenny will go to yoga and meet him there. Let's show up together. Make them face what they've done. That evening I told Jenny I needed to work late. Big project deadline. I'll probably be at the office until 9 or 10. She looked almost relieved. Okay, I have yoga anyway. See you later tonight. She left at 6 p.m. as usual. I left shortly after, meeting Claire at Derek's apartment complex. We walked up to his door together at 7 p.m. Claire had a key. She opened the door without knocking. Jenny and Derek were on the couch. Wine glass, his, and sparkling water, hers, on the coffee table, his arm around her shoulders. They looked comfortable, happy, like a real couple. They looked up when we walked in. The expressions on their faces, shock, horror, fear, would have been comical if the situation weren't so devastating. Claire, Derek started, standing up. Sit down, Claire said, her voice hard. Both of you, sit down and don't say a word until we're done. Jenny looked at me. Mike, what are you doing here? Why, I said don't talk. I interrupted. You don't get to ask questions. You don't get to explain. You just sit there and listen. They sat. Jenny's face was white, her hands shaking. Derek looked like he might be sick. Claire spoke first. I found your messages, Derek. All of them. Every lie you've told me for the past year. Every time you said you were working late or meeting friends. Every time you touched me while thinking about her. She pointed at Jenny. I know everything. I picked up where Claire left off. I found your secret phone, Jenny, behind the dresser in the nursery. I've read every message, seen every photo. I know you've been sleeping with Derek since April. I know you don't know if Lucas is mine or his. I know you're planning to divorce me after maternity leave and take me for child support while you be with him. I know you called me boring and clueless and financially convenient. I know everything. The silence that followed was absolute. Jenny started crying. Derek put his head in his hands. Mike, please, Jenny finally whispered. Let me explain. Explain what? Explain how you've been lying to me for 11 months? Explain how you got pregnant and immediately started cheating? Explain how you've been planning your exit strategy while I prepared a nursery for a baby that might not even be mine? He is yours, Jenny said desperately. I'm almost sure. Almost sure. My voice rose despite my intent. You're almost sure? Do you have any idea what you've done? I've spent almost a year excited about becoming a father, and you've spent that entire time sleeping with another man and questioning paternity? Claire turned to Derek. Is the baby mine? Derek looked up, tears on his face. Yes, I'm sure. I always used protection with Jenny. The timeline with you is clear. Oh, so you're careful with your mistress but not your girlfriend? Claire's voice dripped with contempt. How thoughtful. Claire, I'm so sorry. Sorry? You're sorry? You've destroyed our lives. Both of our lives. She gestured to me. We're both having babies in weeks, and you two have destroyed our families for what? For sneaking around and planning some future together? Jenny was sobbing now. We didn't mean for it to happen. We just connected. Derek understands me in ways Mike doesn't. We fell in love. Don't, I cut her off. Don't romanticize this. You didn't fall in love. You chose to betray me. Every time you texted him, every time you met him, every time you lied about where you were. Those were choices, and now you face the consequences. I pulled out papers from my jacket pocket. These are divorce papers. My attorney will be serving you officially on Monday, but I wanted you to have them tonight. I'm filing for divorce. I'm requesting primary custody of Lucas, if he's mine. I'm requesting a paternity test immediately after he's born. And I'm making sure everyone, every friend, every family member, everyone in your office knows exactly why our marriage ended. Jenny took the papers with shaking hands. Please, Mike, please don't do this. We can work through this. Go to counseling. I'll end things with Derek. You don't get to salvage this. You destroyed it. You spent 11 months planning to leave me anyway. I'm just expediting your timeline. Claire pulled out her own phone. I'm texting your boss, Derek, and your HR department. An affair between co-workers is a violation of company policy, especially when one of you is a director. You'll probably both lose your jobs. Claire, please, Derek begged. Please. Claire laughed bitterly. You want me to protect you now? After what you've done? She hit send. Done. I hope it was worth it. We left them there. Two betrayers sitting on Derek's couch, facing the destruction of everything they'd built. Claire and I walked out together. Two survivors united by betrayal. Thank you, Claire said in the parking lot, for backing me up in there. Thank you for finding me, for forcing this into the open. What now? Now I prepare for my son to be born, and I find out if he's actually mine. 5 weeks later, Jenny went into labor. I drove her to the hospital because despite everything, I couldn't abandon her during childbirth. We didn't speak during the drive except for logistics, timing of contractions, which hospital entrance to use. Labor lasted 14 hours. I stayed in the room because the baby, regardless of paternity, deserved to have someone there who wanted him. Jenny's mother came too, though she barely spoke to me. Jenny had told her parents we were having marital problems, but I don't think she'd told them the full truth. Lucas Michael was born at 3:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. 7 pounds, 4 ounces, perfect fingers and toes, a full head of dark hair, crying loudly and healthily. The nurse tried to hand him to me. I looked at Jenny. I need a paternity test before I hold him. Jenny's face crumpled. Her mother gasped. Mike, how could I? Ask your daughter how we got here. The nurse looked uncomfortable. Sir, you can request a paternity test, but it's not immediate. I know. Cheek swab results in 3-5 days. I want it done now. They performed the test. Swabbed Lucas's cheek, swabbed mine. Sent it to the lab with a rush order. I still didn't hold him. Couldn't. Not until I knew. 3 days later, the results came back. The nurse called me while I was at my brother's house where I'd been staying since the confrontation. Mr. Miller, the paternity test results are back. You are the biological father. 99.9% certainty. I sat down hard on my brother's couch. Lucas was mine. My son. Biologically, legally, mine. I went back to the hospital. Jenny was being discharged that day, her mother helping her pack up. Lucas was in his bassinet, sleeping. I picked him up for the first time. My son. Small and perfect and mine. Mike, Jenny started. Don't. I'm his father and I'll be in his life. But you and I are done. My attorney will be in touch about custody arrangements. The divorce proceeded quickly. Sarah Winters was as aggressive as her reputation suggested. She presented all the evidence of Jenny's affair, her plans to use me financially, her admitted lack of love. We pushed for primary custody. Jenny's attorney tried to argue that a newborn needs his mother. Sarah countered with evidence of Jenny's affair throughout the pregnancy, her plans to divorce for financial reasons, her instability. The judge awarded me primary custody, 60-40 split, with Lucas living with me during the week and Jenny getting alternate weekends and one evening per week. Jenny was devastated. She'd expected to have Lucas full-time with me paying child support while seeing him every other weekend. Instead, she was the parent with limited time. The financial settlement was equally unfavorable to her because she'd been employed throughout the marriage and we'd been married less than 5 years. Spousal support was minimal, $800 per month for 3 years. Child support went to me, $600 per month from her to me, based on our custody split and relative incomes. She'd planned to take me for thousands per month. Instead, she was paying me. Derek and Claire broke up before their baby was born. Claire had told their employer about the affair, and while neither Jenny nor Derek were fired, they were both transferred to different teams and put on professional probation. Derek's career trajectory stalled. Jenny was passed over for a promotion she'd been expecting. Their relationship didn't survive the exposure. Once everything was out in the open, the romance of the secret affair evaporated. They tried dating publicly for a few months, but it fell apart. The foundation of their relationship had been secrecy and deception. Without that, there was nothing substantial left. The first year as a single father was brutal. Sleepless nights with a newborn, learning to balance work and solo parenting, managing handoffs with Jenny, processing the betrayal while trying to be present for Lucas. But it got easier. Lucas started sleeping through the night. I found a rhythm with daycare and work. I bonded with my son in ways that felt pure and uncomplicated by the mess of his parents' relationship. By the time Lucas was 18 months old, I'd found stability, bought out Jenny's share of the house, created routines that worked, built a support system of family and friends who helped with childcare. I also started therapy, needed help processing the betrayal, the trust issues, the complicated grief of losing a marriage while gaining a son. Dr. Morrison helped me understand what had happened. Your wife's affair wasn't about you being boring or insufficient. It was about her own needs and character. Some people are capable of compartmentalization and deception in ways that have nothing to do with their partner's worthiness. How do I trust again? How do I believe anyone after that? Slowly, carefully, with people who demonstrate trustworthiness through consistent action over time. When Lucas was 2, I met someone, Dr. Rachel Kim, Lucas's pediatrician. She'd been seeing him for regular checkups since he was 6 months old. We'd had friendly conversations during appointments, professional but warm. One day, after Lucas's 2-year checkup, she said, "This might be inappropriate given the doctor-patient relationship, but would you want to get coffee sometime? Not as Lucas's doctor. I can transfer his care to my colleague if this is weird. But as 2 people who might enjoy talking outside a medical office, I hesitated. The trust issues were real. The fear of being betrayed again was overwhelming. But Dr. Morrison's words echoed, "Trust is earned through consistent action over time." "I'd like that," I said. "Coffee sounds good." We dated slowly, very slowly. Rachel understood my hesitation, my need for transparency, my hypervigilance about red flags. She was patient and consistent, showing up when she said she would, being honest about everything, meeting my need for openness. By the time Lucas was 3, Rachel and I were serious. She met Lucas, not as his pediatrician but as my girlfriend, and they got along wonderfully. Jenny struggled with the news that I was dating. "You moved on so fast," she accused during a custody exchange. "It's been 3 years, Jenny, and you were the one who had an affair. You don't get to judge my timeline." She'd tried dating too, but nothing stuck. Her reputation in our social circle was permanently damaged. Everyone knew about the affair, the secret phone, the paternity uncertainty. Men would be interested initially but would pull back once they learned the story. Derek had moved to a different city, trying to escape his own reputation. Last I heard, he was engaged to someone new, starting over where people didn't know his history. When Lucas turned 4, Rachel and I got engaged. Simple proposal at home, with Lucas present because he was part of this new family we were building. We got married 6 months later. Small ceremony, mostly family, with Lucas as the ring bearer. The photos show of us, me, Rachel, and Lucas, smiling genuinely, building something real and honest. Jenny came to Lucas's 5th birthday party at our house, saw the life I'd built, stable, happy, genuine. She stayed for an hour, watching Lucas play with his friends, then left quietly. A week later, I got a text from her. "I'm sorry for everything. You deserved better. Lucas is lucky to have you." I didn't respond. There was nothing to say. The apology came years too late after I'd already rebuilt my life without her. Now Lucas is 6. He splits time between my house with Rachel and Jenny's apartment. He's happy, well-adjusted, loved by multiple adults who've put aside their conflicts for his sake. I'm 40 now, married to Rachel for 2 years. We're talking about having a baby together, giving Lucas a sibling. My career has advanced. I'm a senior engineer now, making good money, providing stability. Jenny is 38, still single, still working in marketing, though she never got that director position she wanted. Still seeing Lucas on alternate weekends and one evening per week, though she's pushing for more time. Sometimes I think about that Tuesday afternoon when I found the phone behind the dresser, how my life split into before and after in the span of a few hours, how everything I thought I knew was revealed to be false. But that discovery, as painful as it was, saved me from years of living a lie. If I hadn't found that phone, Jenny would have continued the affair, given birth to Lucas, waited until after maternity leave, then divorced me on her timeline with her narrative. Instead, I controlled the revelation, gathered evidence, protected my rights, fought for my son, and built a new life based on honesty rather than deception. The lesson I learned: trust your instincts. When something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't dismiss red flags because confronting them is uncomfortable. And most importantly, when someone shows you who they really are through their actions, believe them. Jenny showed me she was capable of lying for 11 months, of maintaining a double life, of planning to use me financially while building a future with someone else. That was her truth, revealed in messages she never meant for me to see. And that truth, as devastating as it was to discover, set me free to build something better.